Welcome back to another episode, and today is kind of a special event, seeing as how I actually have been out for the whole day hanging out with Johnny.
Yeah, we never get a chance to do that, so we've been having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And as we were out, we started getting tweets about certain games that have been shown at PAX East, and we were kind of surprised and we were kind of excited about it, and I think we just wanted to come and talk about it to you guys and talk about it amongst ourselves about the excitement of Capcom announcing
HD remastered DUCKTALES, the original NES game. Yeah! And working, of course, on the Dungeons & Dragons arcade games and putting them together into the Chronicles of Mysteria.
That is an interesting one, and the thing is, let's start with the Dungeons & Dragons here, just to talk about that for a second, is that for anybody who's ever played, and we love the games, you know, Rob bought me a poster that I got framed, for Christmas a few years ago.
Yeah.
Of the arcade games of Dungeons & Dragons, and it was an arcade game. It was two of them, and you could only ever play them in the arcade. There was no home console version in North America. The only way you could get it was on the Sega Saturn in Japan, and you needed the RAM cart expansion as well for it, and it goes anywhere from $100 to $140 depending on the day on eBay. So it's one I've always looked at. I'm like, man, I'd really like to get that, but it's so expensive, and it's never come down in price. And I kind of look every week, and after the last 4 years, I'm like, nah, we're never gonna get it.
Well, I think also because a lot of the copyright was tied up with the Dungeons & Dragons brand itself, and they didn't necessarily have the licensing for it.
Yeah.
So something big must have happened. They must have gone to them and gone
to Wizards of the Coast and said, hey, do you want to do something finally? Because that's why Alien vs. Predator, the old arcade game, never came out because they lost the licensing for it. So I kind of never thought we'd ever get Dungeons & Dragons. So to get it, it is incredible. Yeah, that's one we're very looking forward to. It looks just stunning. And you first played it in Japan, I remember.
Well, that's one of the most memorable times I've played it. I used to play it all the time here in the arcades whenever I had my mitts on some quarters and had the time. But yeah, I went to Japan, and after a fairly epic bout of Street Fighter with some local arcade fellas, we sat down together with a bunch of tall tins of beer and played through the Dungeons & Dragons Tower of Doom game, and it was awesome. We could barely speak each other's language, but you know what? Video games are the universal language.
Yeah, so good. And so that's one to look forward to. That's one that we're finally getting. So that's great. So thank you, Capcom, for that one. And I know that you haven't been happy with Capcom over the last few years, and we never really want to address it on the show. I know Rob's talked about it on Facebook a lot, because of the Legends.
Yeah, because Mega Man Legends 3 was canceled, and I'm still rather distressed about that. But it's also because over the last many years, it looks like they've really geared towards the Resident Evil and Street Fighter fans and have kind of turned their back on the rest of their fans and franchises, but this is a bold step.
Yeah.
I mean, DuckTales, for those that know, they're passionate, and Dungeons & Dragons, there's a lot of passionate fans, and for them to go out and take this time and effort to update the graphics and re-release them for us, that's a step in the right direction.
What do you think about the DuckTales? I would have never seen this coming in a million years.
Out of all of the ones they could have done, really, that's one that just blindsided me when I heard about it. And then, there's going to be an HD DuckTales. What?
Yeah, they would get that back from Disney. They could actually negotiate to do that again. Like, really? Disney's so funny and fickle. I thought they'd be like, no, he ain't doing that shit.
Well, Disney does like their money, though. So, it's obviously a good business plan. But also, it looks... We watched the trailer just before we came and sat down. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks really good.
I mean,
it takes you back, for the older guys in the room here, it takes you back to when you were a kid and first played DuckTales. And I don't think there's anybody out there from our generation that played it that didn't think it was an excellent game. Some people didn't like it. I'd be kind of surprised because it really stands up really well, even to this day.
It does. I mean, the controls were tight, the graphics were good, especially for the generation, and it was a really fun game.
It was DuckTales.
Come on.
Yeah, it was good. So, what do you guys think of these, releases by Capcom? I feel I've said that I'm not against Capcom. I think what they're doing. I like Capcom as a company. I know you've had your issues.
I love what they used to make, and I love them as a company when they put their effort in. When they do things like this, it shows us who they used to be. But I really think if they keep this up, could be a road to redemption. Now, the other thing
might get him back. On board.
The other thing is they have officially but unofficially, but sort of kind of announced that there might possibly be maybe a Mega Man game that they might be working on, possibly.
Yeah, we had to go and research this because there was a rumor that some of the tweets I was getting a new Mega Man game coming out.
There was an offhand comment made at their Capcom panel at PAX East 2013 just recently that there are a lot of things in the works for the anniversary, most of which are merchandise and art books that they're going to translate. But there was an offhand comment about a game in the works, and then later that was sort of reneged on when it was retweeted by the guy who made the comment that he isn't officially announcing that they're developing a game. It's just they're discussing it behind the curtain, and they won't announce anything unless it solidifies. So, yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
That means that they're not actually admitting they're working on a Mega Man game. They're just toying with the idea, but trying to get the fans excited to show them that they actually care about it.
This is kind of like Nintendo. Nintendo should always be saying we're always working on a Mario game. It should never be a surprise. Of course you're working on a Mario game. You're Nintendo.
Yeah, it's just...
Of course you're working on a Mega Man game. You're Capcom. I don't know.
But otherwise, exciting news.
Yes.
Really good stuff. It was really cool to see the trailers. I can't wait for Dungeons and Dragons. Hopefully online multiplayer. Oh, that'd be great. We could all just sit around, get a bunch of friends together, and just rock it out. And the DuckTales is going to be a blast from the past.
Icing on the cake. So great news today. We just wanted to share with you guys some of our feelings about it. So anyways, guys, until next time.